Okay, YouTubers, another quick game of Interplanetary I Spy here. Now, this is not one of my finds. This is something that one of our researchers on Mars discoveries and solar system anomalies has just posted, and it grabbed my attention immediately. So I downloaded the image here. Now, he's got a link to the JPEG here, but if you just copy and paste the actual PIA number and put it into Google, it would come up with the proper page, and it would give you the option of having a TIFF file as well, which is much larger and but better quality. But you may want the JPEG. The JPEG is pretty good, actually. So here's the page. Now, this is the Spirit Rover, and this image was taken 10 years ago. Of course, the Spirit Rover has been offline now for a couple of years now, I think. It died on us. But it had a very good run, and it ran for many years on the surface, over 10 years. I think more than that even. And it got some great images, and in fact a lot of the images are better quality than the ones you see on the Curiosity, but that's maybe because they haven't been downsized so much and messed with, I don't know. But it has all the information here about the image and the sort of various features in the background. But cracking straight on with it, let's get on with it here. So full credit to Laszlo Zabolics, I don't know how you say that. That's the best I can do, I'm afraid. And there will be links to his page and this page and his Facebook stuff below in the description, because obviously this credit goes fully to him for pointing this out, as it's not one of mine. And he's called it a hedgehog. Now, it does kind of look like a hedgehog. I will show you the clips I've taken. Now, let's show you the raw image first. Now, I've got the JPEG version here, which should load up quicker. And we're looking right at the back of the image here. Unfortunately, this thing is right at the top. Now, where was it? There it is. But it's quite large. It's a long way off from the rover. I would imagine this to be quite large. I haven't actually worked out the size of it yet, but judging by the width of the tracks here, now these tracks are a lot more narrow than ones on the Curiosity are, but I can't remember exactly how wide they are, so what I'll do is I'll look that up, and then we can work out the width of this thing from the width of these tracks, which is always a good measure when you're looking at these things. So I haven't worked it out exactly, but it's probably less than 12 inches, I think, the rover wheels on this particular thing, and this thing is a comparable sort of width, but probably smaller, but it's further away. So yeah, so this is probably going to be less than about 12 inches. This is probably about 9, which will put it in the size of a human skull, if it is a skull, that is. So let me show you the enhanced clips. Excuse my voice, by the way, I do have a bit of a cold. And here we are. I obviously zoomed in, took a clip. Let's show the raw clip first. That's the raw clip, and it does look pretty fuzzy, but it is quite a long way off. And like on the Curiosity rover, the Spirit rover, I think, is only a 2 meg sensor on the camera. Pretty much the same, I think, as the one on the Curiosity, which means the resolution is a little bit poor, especially on far objects. It's okay up front when you've got stuff really close, or within, say, 20 meters, but when it's a way off like this is, it's always going to look a bit fuzzy. But there is some detail to be gained here, and you can see what looks like a nose here, and an eye, and possibly some teeth. Now, I can see why Laszlo thought this was a hedgehog, because it does kind of look like a hedgehog. It's got this kind of very round, sort of oval-looking head shape to it, almost like a hedgehog body, and almost like a leg at the back here. But I don't think this is a hedgehog. I actually think this is a skull, because there don't seem to be any feet. And when you've seen the enhancements I've done, where I've darkened it and played around with it, you may well agree. But if you don't agree, you know, feel free to comment. I mean, this is down to interpretation, of course. Here's one of the enhancements I did. Well, I've gone in there and I've color corrected it, and I've really pushed the contrast quite hard. And I've gone around some of these edges here just to sharpen it a bit, because the image is quite fuzzy and out of focus. So the only way you could add focus back into an image really is to darken some of these outlines here and try and get an idea of some of these overall shapes. So there we go. I mean, is it a skull? Is it a hedgehog? Is it either? It could be just a random rock, but it does seem to have a very strange little rock next to it here, which looks kind of manufactured and cut. It's got a very straight part to it here, and that does look like an eye socket. This does look like a cheekbone just here with the upper maxilla and upper teeth, perhaps. There's a strange protrudence here on the side of the skull, if it is a skull. So the cranial plates look very foreign, but they ought to really, as we are on Mars. And of course the Spirit Rover was nowhere near the Curiosity Rover, and this is thousands of miles away. So the reason this may look different to some of the skulls that we've seen more recently from the Curiosity Rover is the fact that this is a completely different part of Mars, and the climate is probably very different here. A lot of the famous skull images of Mars do seem to have this bony protrusion here, where there should be an actual sort of nasal cavity there. So this may well be down to the fact that they come from a very cold part of the planet and need to warm the air up considerably before breathing it into their lungs. So that is a possibility. Don't rule anything out when it comes to Mars. Anything could be there. We really are only just looking at the tip of the iceberg at the moment, and I'm sure over the coming years we will more so come to the conclusion that there was a considerable and diverse life on the planet Mars. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.